Greeting students, with a class 8, we have started the revision of chapter 1 of geography, that is of natural resources chapter. In the chapter, we have discussed what are resources and then different types of resources on the basis of their origin, on the basis of exhaustibility, on the basis of ownership. Then why do we need to conserve our resources? Then after we have discussed the question answers, so I'm going to again discuss some of the questions of the chapter. So first question is, why are resources distributed unequally over the earth? And in the chapter we have discussed that the availability of resources, it depends on topography, climate, altitude of the different places. As these places differ from one part to the another part of the country, of the world, so that is why, because these are different objects are found in different parts of the country, so that's why we found different resources in different parts of the world. Somewhere we find these resources in abundance, and somewhere there is scarcity of the resources. So and moreover, the level of development and technological level, that is some of the that also determine the distribution. So these factors are also different from one area to another. Then what is resource conservation? So when we talk about the word conservation, it means keeping, how can we save them, how can we save our resources, how can we use the resources judiciously, so that we can avoid the indiscriminate use of the resources. So saving resources for future generations, that is called the soil, this is conservation. It is the protection of our valuable resources. So the resources like minerals, water, trees, wildlife, and so many other resources are available. So resource conservation, to use the resources carefully and keeping them for the, or saving them for the future generations. Next, why are human resource development? So we have discussed that all the humans who are educated, who are healthy, who are skilled, they are uh, resource for their society, resource for their country. So why are human resources important? Because it is human resources who, with their intelligence, with their skills, with their ability, make the natural resources more useful, because they do their best, they utilize their potential in their best way, so that these natural resources can be used or utilized fully. So that is why the human resources are important. Then what is sustainable development? So sustainable development means balancing the need to the use of resources and conserving them for the future. It is called sustainable development, because the resources, these are limited in stock, and if you overutilize these resources, so one way we can face scarcity of the resources, or we can find ourselves into trouble. Then after, some of the MCQs of the chapter. So first MCQ, that is, which one of the following does not make the substance a resource? See, utility, value, quantity. So that is quantity, because value and utility, that makes a substance a resource, but quantity doesn't matter. The quantity is the correct answer. Then which one of the following is a human made resource? Human made resource means the resource which is made by human beings. So these spring water, natural, tropical forest, natural, medicine to treat cancer, this is human made. So the answer is part 1, that is human made. I think this is clear to all of you. Then after, some more questions, and listen whatever is given in the boxes also, that you need to learn. So biotic resources are, what are biotic resources? The resources which are obtained from biosphere, living beings, plants, human beings, animals, these are biotic. So the biotic resources are those which are derived from the living beings or living things. Then this is something about the exercise question answers of the chapter. And if I find it some of the points related to the chapter which you need to keep in mind are that we are discussing here about some of the resources, natural resources, human made resources, human resources. So why then after we have discussed about the conservation of resources, then uh, why do we need, or why do we need to conserve our resources? So ways to conserve resources, all these we have discussed in the chapter. And some of the 1 mark questions of the chapter are uh, see biotic resources which are obtained from the biosphere, example all the living beings. And then abiotic resources, the resources which are obtained from the or derived from the non-living beings, these are called abiotic resources. Then we have discussed resources on the basis of their ownership also. Ownership, private or individual, means the private property of a person. It may be house, it may be their some kind of land, some plots, etc., means owned by one individual. Then after the private, which are these are individual or private. Then public resources, the resources which are provided by the government for the common use. We call then we have some community owned resources also. These are like a ponds, then grazing lands, and crematory grounds. These are some community owned resources, and these are used by the whole community together. Then national resources, whatever the resources are found within the political boundaries of a country are called uh, national resources. So these are some of the points related to uh, resources on the basis of their ownership. I think these are clear to all. Then after we have discussed about